Hey there, how's it going? Lee Hayward here, and in this video I'm going to take you through an upper body workout routine. Now this is currently our Workout of the Month program over on the Total Fitness Bodybuilding Inner Circle. And the way the full program goes is it's an upper-lower body rotational split routine. So in Workout 1 we're going to primarily work the upper body, in Workout 2 we're going to primarily work the lower body, and then as we go through the series of workouts, we're going to rotate through different exercises for each of the major muscle groups. So the benefit of this is it's going to be a high frequency training program with a lot of exercise variety over the course of the entire program. So in this video right here, I'm going to take you through Workout 1A, and then over the next several weeks, I'm going to video all the different workouts and put together a complete playlist covering the entire upper-lower body rotational split routine. Now before we get into the actual weight training, it's important to do a thorough warm-up. So I like to start off with some cardio to get my heart rate elevated, and then I'll do some specific mobility exercises to warm up the joints, tendons, and ligaments of the body parts that I'm going to work. In this upper body workout, we're going to train the chest, shoulders, back, and abdominals. And we're going to do 2 different exercises for each body part. Now our first chest exercise is the incline barbell bench press. So start off with just the empty barbell and get used to the movement, and then do several progressively heavier warm-up sets, building your way up to your top heavyweight working set. Now I recommend that you limit yourself to 2 heavy working sets per exercise for your first rotation through this workout. I mean, later on, if you feel that you need more sets in order to stimulate optimal muscle growth, then you can always increase the volume of sets. But a common mistake that a lot of novice lifters make is they try to do too much too soon, especially when starting a new workout program. I always recommend that you be a bit conservative, leave a little bit in the tank initially, and then this allows you room to grow and progress with the program, rather than trying to do too much too soon and end up burning yourself out and having to back off halfway through your program. And a good rep range to use for big compound exercises like the bench press is 8 to 10%. If you can't get at least 8 good reps, then the weight is too heavy, and if you can do more than 10 reps, then increase the weight for your next session. Next in the workout, I'm going to do the Pec Deck Fly, and for this one I like to put an extra pad on the seat in order to give me some more height. And the reason for this is it takes strain off the shoulders and rotator cuff. A little tip that you can use whenever you're doing the Pec Deck Fly is to always make sure that the height of your shoulders is higher than the height of your hands when you're doing the exercise. So this very often means moving the seat up as high as it can go, and if it doesn't go high enough, then you can add an extra pad to the seat like I did here in the video. And by doing this, it's going to take the strain off the shoulders, make the exercise more comfortable, and give you a better pump in the pecs. And a good rep range for the Pec Deck Fly is between 10 and 12 repetitions per set. If you can't get at least 10 reps with good form, then the weight is too heavy, and if you can do more than 12, then you need to increase the weight for your next workout. Now we're going to do some work for the shoulders with the side lateral raise. And this is a great isolation exercise that's really going to focus on the medial head of the deltoid. When you're doing this exercise, I recommend starting off with light weight, really focus on getting a good peak contraction in the deltoids, and then work your way up to heavier dumbbells with each set. So in my case, I usually start off with 15-pound dumbbells, then I'll go to 20s, 25s, and very often, if I'm using slow and controlled form like I'm doing here on the video, I don't need to go any heavier than the 25s in order to get a killer pump in the shoulders. Now as far as the rep ranges, shoot for a minimum of 10 repetitions per set, and you can go as high as 15 reps with good form. Again, you can really focus on holding that peak contraction and squeezing your shoulders for a second at the top, and this is going to make the exercise a lot harder and place more of the workload on the side deltoids. Next up, going to do some face pulls to work the rear delts and the upper back. And this movement is going to help to balance out your shoulder development. A lot of people tend to overwork the front and the side delts, and more often than not, the rear delts get neglected. But by doing exercises like the face pull, you're really going to help to develop that rear delt area. Now you notice that I'm using two individual handles attached to a single cable pulley. And I like this because it allows you to pull the handles apart and get a better peak contraction in your rear delts and upper back. Now another option that you could use is a rope attachment. This will allow you to do the same thing by pulling the handles apart and getting a good peak contraction. The only drawback to using a rope is that it's sometimes hard on the wrists and your grip is not as strong as it is when using the two single handle attachments like I'm doing here on the video. And now we're going to move on and do some work for the back with the lat pull down. And this one is going to help to add width to your lats. Now when you're doing this movement, you really need to focus on getting a full stretch in the lats by letting your arms come all the way up at the top of the repetition and then pull that bar all the way down to your chest for a full peak contraction. Really emphasizing the stretch and the peak contraction, and doing so with good form is what's going to activate your lats. So if you have trouble feeling your back working when doing pull downs, then just lighten up the weight and really tighten up the form. Make sure that you can feel your lats stretch and contract with each repetition. Shoot for a minimum of 10 reps per set. I mean, you can go a bit higher if you're trying to really get that mind-muscle connection, but a minimum of 10 good repetitions is what's required in order to have enough time under tension to adequately stimulate muscle growth in the lats. And a little cue that you can use to know when it's time to end your set is when you get to the point where you can't touch your chest with the bar anymore. Once you can no longer perform a full range of motion, then you know it's time to end the set. Working our way down the back, going to do some bent over barbell rows. And for this one, I'm using an easy curl bar with a reverse grip. Now the reason I'm doing that is because I want to focus more on the lower lat area. I mean, if you're doing a regular overhand grip barbell row, that's a good exercise for working more of the middle overall back. But once you turn your wrists around and you use the underhand grip, then this is going to emphasize more of the lower lats. And by doing so, it's going to give you a nice wide full look to the back. The reverse grip bent over barbell row was a favorite exercise of former Mr. Olympia Dorian Yates, and back in his heyday, he had arguably one of the best backs in the history of bodybuilding. Keep your repetitions between 8 and 12 per set. Really focus on pulling that bar into your stomach and squeezing your lats with each repetition. And to conclude the strength training portion of our workout, we're going to focus on doing some work for the midsection. And for this, I'm using the TRX straps, and I'm basically performing a plank variation. So holding a plank and pulling my knees in towards my core. And by doing this, you really get more of the stabilization and lower abdominal activation when you're doing your planks. Another plank variation that you can include in your workouts is the up and down plank. And for this one, you just hold a push-up position and then lower yourself down one arm at a time until you come to your elbows, and then push yourself back up one arm at a time. And by doing this, you twist and rotate your body constantly, so there's a lot more muscle activation throughout your core, the obliques, and all the stabilizer muscles in your midsection. So it's a much harder and challenging variation compared to a regular plank where you're just holding a static position. And to finish off our workout, we're going to do some stretching for all the muscles that we just trained. So right here, I'm using the TRX straps and basically doing like a circular fly motion. And this is a great movement to really stretch out the chest, the shoulders, and the biceps, and all the muscles throughout the front of the torso are really going to get stretched with this. So take your time and just keep a little bit of tension in your body by leaning forward slightly, and really focus on that slow and controlled going through that full range of motion. So basically start with your arms by your sides, slowly raise them up all the way overhead, and then come back down. And do this several times until you feel a good stretch throughout your entire chest, shoulders, and bicep area. And after that, I'm going to do some stretching for our lats. So just hold on to a barbell that's in a rack approximately waist height. I mean, it could be in a Smith machine or a bench press. It really doesn't matter. But you just want to grab the bar and lean back and let your lats fully stretch out. And you can even alternate your grip and use a reverse grip to stretch out more of the lower lats as well. Just taking a few minutes to stretch out at the end of your workouts like this is going to reduce muscle soreness and aid with recovery and growth. And the next one is just a basic toe touch, but it's a great stretch for the lower back. You'll also feel it in your hamstrings and glutes as well. For each of these stretches, hold them for at least 30 seconds, and if you like, you can go through them a couple times, almost like a circuit routine where you go through a couple rotations of the stretches. And the next one is simply hanging from the pull-up bar. And this is a great exercise because it stretches out the lats and it also decompresses the spine. So anytime you do overhead presses or squats or anything that's going to place a load on the spine, it's a good idea to stretch out afterwards by hanging from the pull-up bar. And this next one is going to stretch out the entire front of your body. It's good for stretching the chest, stretching the abdominals, and it's also going to help to realign your spine. So what I have here is the hyperextension bench, and I'm simply leaning backwards over it. And I find that that is a great way to stretch out the entire front of your body. Now, depending on the type of hyperextension bench that you have at your gym, you may or may not be able to do this. Another variation that you could do instead is to simply lay back on a large exercise ball, and that will give you a similar type of stretch throughout the entire front of your torso. So there you go. That's the full upper body workout routine. I hope you enjoyed the video. And if you have any questions, comments, or feedback about this, please feel free to post those down in the comment section below, and I will chat with you down there. And if you haven't already done so, make sure to subscribe to the Total Fitness Bodybuilding YouTube channel so that you can stay up to date with all my latest videos. Have yourself a fantastic day, and I look forward to talking to you in my next video. Take care. Over and out.